A search and rescue story with the swing of a lasso. Storm drains and gutters filled with oil. Amber McDonald heard the doorbell ring. There are 7 snowplows here in Midvale City. For wedding photographers, that means there are 50 gambling machines here in this evidence room. The semi-truck driver was driving into the storage units here to be used to find any suspects, then brought it to this window where they then broke in. The park manager noticed something in this area about 6 years ago, but it wasn't until the high winds blew through this weekend that he uncovered this. Through the salty foam, brushed up against the shore by a casual tide. Off in the distance sits this steel skeleton.
My mom showed me some little bit of wood where a chair probably was. Saw some weird stakes, so it probably was like a weird pulley thing that people used.
Much has rotted away to the point that the boat is unrecognizable.
What was that boat used for? Who were the people on the boat? What were they doing? How did it end up on the south shore of the Great Salt Lake? What was its final demise?
Oh, it's the part of a ship.
Questions that captivate the youngest explorers to longtime historians.
Is it a shipwreck with gold doubloon, or is it just a simple industrial working boat?
The Great Salt Lake, first used by the Native Americans, was then used by the pioneers to ship cargo.
Brigham Young attempted to establish a cattle ferry boat business between the mainland and the south shores of Antelope Island that never really materialized.
Dave Shearer, the park's manager here, says he believes the ship was a part of a larger fleet, like these boats found across the lake.
They were taking a lot of logs up to the railroad causeway or the railroad. At the same time, they were taking stuff from the railroad back down to the mining camp.
Not many clues were left in the rusted remains.
But it's still fascinating to go down there and take a look at it.
But buried in the silt and salt water is another piece of Utah's history.
It's inside a place which I never think that a shipwreck would find its way inside.
Shearer says he can look through old newspapers to see if there's any information on this ship and its story. He also says there are dozens like this one out across the Great Salt Lake. From the Great Salt Lake, Erin Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
There was a video on it and it showed the container box, and I'm like, that is our box.
The Hokinsons own a construction, engineering, and manufacturing company out of Ogden called HHI. You might know them most from these images. Pictures of containerized biocontainment systems or isolation chambers being used to bring those infected with COVID-19 home to American soil.
And then once we saw it in action, it was like, this is awesome.
The Hokinsons' partner, MRI, received the orders from the State Department, asking for a way to ship home U.S. citizens infected with Ebola and their nurses and doctors. HHI had 6 hours to put together a plan for 4 boxes.
So 8 foot wide, 8 foot tall, but 44 foot long.
The boxes have 3 rooms, one for doctors to enter, a middle door for them to suit up, and the final room where patients are treated.
But everything had to be contained inside of and be able to be washed down. Even the light fixture needed to be wiped down chemically.
Special doors that would remain the same should an airplane go down. No biological hazards would be released from the boxes. Special epoxy for the walls and electronic gear that could be decontaminated after one use.
Those 2 original boxes are the ones that we believe were the ones that brought the people back from Japan.
The last time the boxes were here in Utah was November 2019.
It's about families, it's about connections, it's about surviving this world in the best way we can.
O'Canton says he believes the other 2 boxes built are in the Congo right now, helping those infected with Ebola. From the HHI manufacturing facility in Ogden, Erin Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah. This is where Lori Walker walked into her family cabin this past February. She smelled gas and told her kids to go wait in the car for her, a decision that probably saved her family of 4.
I was on the phone with her when the explosion happened. And the phone just went dead. I didn't know that there was an explosion.
10 minutes later, Kelly Walker received a text from his oldest daughter saying the cabin exploded, Mom is inside.
And then it was about a 30-minute drive for me to get up there. And then when I arrived, I was told that she didn't make it, and they wouldn't let me try to go into the cabin, and they wouldn't let me down the hill, and then I went in and told my beautiful children that their mom had passed and that she didn't make it.
What they did not know, 3 separate families within a mile of the Walker family cabin felt their own houses shake from the explosion.
He told me to call 911, and before I even got my phone, he was already in his truck headed over there.
The house is on fire, correct? Yes, it is.
Mary Hammond then watched in terror as her husband Nate walked inside.
What is he doing?
It was horrifying.
Oh my God.
You know, to know that he went in there to save this woman, to be with her family still, and they knew that it could potentially take them from theirs.
Not knowing if they could even save Lori, they were just trying to find her. Mark Pierce was one of the 3 rescuers.
The drywall was just like blown right off of all the walls downstairs. There's, you know, big pieces of broken glass all over the place, and it was probably, I don't know, a good 50 feet or something of just like solid debris.
It was through this window that Mark and the other 2 rescuers entered the exploded house. This is the area they found Lori buried in debris, and only a short amount of time to get her out alive.
There was fire over her and over us in that room. You know, part of me wanted to just totally save myself, but you know, especially when the kids were saying that their mom was dead, you know, just.
In the corner of this cell phone video, you can see the 3 rescuers rolling Lori out into the snow where they waited for firefighters to arrive. You can see the burning house in between firefighters and the rescuers, and how far away those lights are from where Lori laid in the cold.
It was too hot. You had to get off that hill and over the edge down to away from it.
What seemed to be 30 to 40 minutes later, the rescuers say firefighters arrived on scene and Lori was still alive.
He didn't say anything. He just embraced me. And all he kept repeating was, "We got her, we got her."
She was in a medical coma for 5 days, and lots of scares with her brain.
For Lori, it took her days to realize she had been in an accident.
I woke up with a very strong feeling in my heart that I didn't need to be afraid and that everything was going to be okay.
30% of her body burned, 30 bones broken, the right side of her face gone, including her jawbones and teeth, her left hand and right leg still repairing.
I never felt afraid because I had that feeling in my heart before I even understood anything else.
A hope Kelly says he didn't feel.
I was completely broken, and Lori is the one that saved me. You know, these are 3 heroes, our neighbors. They saved Lori, but she saved me.
That was just the beginning of Lori's healing.
She climbed up the 5 or 6 stairs with the crutches, and she said, 5 stairs today, the Matterhorn tomorrow.
Tide. We're doing all right.
She has the right attitude in all this, that to get her through this, because it's such a long road, and she's gonna make it. She's the miracle in all this.
A big moment for Lori's family, hearing her play the piano again.
I was surprised that I could play. The timing of that, with Gavin having just asked, "Do you think Mom will ever play the piano again?" And then for them to hear music right at that moment, I just feel like it was a gift from God to my son to just let him know things will get better.
In Heber, Erin Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.